Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Super License F1 podcast. My name is Rodney.
And my name is Zach.
And those are our names. I'm the one with this name, and you're the one with that name.
Yep, You got it again. We did it every week. Well, I'm unsure if we'll be able to do an intro, and yet here we are again with a successfin one.
Thanks for listening. This has been the Who Are We podcast. See you next week. Thanks for subscribing, and tell a friend.
In fact, Rod, the race wasn't that interesting this week in Azerbaijan.
Really?
So maybe should we just become a Game of Thrones recap show?
Oh, ooh. Well, I'll tell you. What season are we up to now?
40. Season 40.
I've got 39 seasons and about 11 episodes to catch up on, my friend. So I'll meet you back here in about 5 years or so.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Although that being said, I did watch all of a whole TV show on the weekend. Have you heard of this Fleabag on the BBC?
Tell me more.
She is the screenplay writer for the show Killing Eve, which was quite a big success. I don't know if you'd heard of that show.
I think I only just recently... This is the Sandra Oh vehicle?
Yes, it is the Sandra Oh vehicle. Cool. So the woman who wrote the screenplay for that, because it was a book before it was the TV show...
Man, I need to draw me a diagram, man. This is getting complicated.
I'll draw you a diagram with words.
Okay.
So she wrote this great TV show called Fleabag, which is about a 30-something woman who's got some family problems and is working through them. It's hilarious. It's great. It's got Olivia Colman in it as well. And she wrote and stars in it, and it's great. And you should all watch it on catch up because I'm sure it's available somewhere. Mm-hmm. So that's my hot tip. What's the show again? Formula One. That's right. Yeah.
Yep. Formula One. Well, I get to plug a show now. I've been watching Maniac on Netflix. I'm catching up. Apparently everyone's seen that but me, but now I'm watching it. Pretty good.
I've only watched 2 episodes, but you just watch it for the aesthetic, like the aesthetic brilliance of how nice to look at it is.
Yeah, but I mean, there's stuff there. There's stuff there.
There's stuff there. It's going on. No spoilers.
Let me tell you something about F1, Zach. Is it getting hot in here? Don't take off all your clothes. We're just touching down and tearing it up in the land of fire. Hey, more like Lando was on fire. Am I right? No, don't peek too early, Rod. Are you prone to cramping? Well, don't forget to wiggle your toes because your foot will be firmly planted on the loud pedal as you barrel down one of the longest straights in the Formula One calendar and then feel the squeeze of all 16 corners on this tight street circuit. And if anyone says they can't see the castle, tell him he's dreaming. Jump on the party bus. We're going to rock down to the circuit in Baku. So don't lock up your tires. We're going all the way with Azerbaijan, baby.
Oh, my God.
Best one yet.
That is the best one. Even the worst thing about that, though, it has my worst the worst Formula One turn of phrase, the loud pedal, sorry. I just...
You don't like it?
No, it's too...
It's overthought, right?
It's just it's too bogan. Hit the loud pedal. It's like, yeah, I suppose. But maybe just even the go pedal would be better than the loud pedal.
All right. Oh. Well, I'll edit that out in post. And, sorry I brought it up, bro.
No, that was a great one. That was a very good one. I liked the self-reference of don't peek too early.
Well, it's bloody true. Zach, we've got an F1 race that we have to summarize. We're off to Baku in Azerbaijan. We've got a quiz coming up later, and we'll have a look at the Fantasy League and see how that's going. So what do you reckon we just rip into this race, bro?
Yeah, do you want to say anything else before we rip into the race?
Do I? Yeah, no? Of course I do. Let me just check the notes. Yeah, of course I do. Hey, thanks to everybody who supports us in the Super License Club. Been teasing for a little while that we're giving away some coaster sets, little 4 sets of wooden coasters with our big, awesome Super License logo burnt right into them with frickin' lasers, baby. So we're giving away 10 sets to club members. 5 of them have just gone out. So if you got an email from me, congrats. They are on their way to you. It's not too late for people to join up if you want to go in the running to get one of those. It's not really a competition. There's no talent aspect. You just sign up and then I pick somebody. It's more of a
raffle.
More of a dictatorship, I guess. Anyway.
Okay.
If you heard from me about the coasters, look out. They'll be on their way to you. And the other thing you should look out for, if you're a club member and if you support us at the level where you get our bonus podcast, Drift. Oh boy, Zach, we just recorded our Netflix discussion of Drive to Survive. Let's cut to a clip now. Man, this show is fucking great. Little clip there, the taste of what you're going to get from our episode Drift about the Netflix series Drive to Survive, Zach.
Still unsure if you actually cut to a clip or if that was you just saying that.
Really? You're not sure?
That was perfect. No, that was great.
Maybe I did peak too early with that. Yeah. Oh well. Well, thank you for pulling me up there,
good.
Zach. It would have been a travesty if we hadn't mentioned that. Thank you so much.
No, but now I'm super jazzed to talk about this. Oh, this shit hot race, Rod. So good.
No kidding, though. The Netflix episode is really good. Anyway, let's get into the race.
Let us race a bit. I gave him space.
Suck my bones, man.
Let's hurry up and get out of here. We got a race to do.
Yeah, Baku, baby. Remember how Baku's always a crazy race and it just never disappoints? Literally never.
Yes, like
and there's 100
safety
million
cars,
things that always happen.
and people can lead and then they get shafted by pit stop strategies and all that kind of stuff. That is what you're expecting in Baku. I think that it's probably the best way to go about this is that we don't do a whole race review and we just do maybe a wrap up in 30 seconds.
Yeah. Well, I'll give it a go. I'll by the time I do a 30-second recap and you do a 30-second recap, then we'll probably be done. But I'll do the official one. As is tradition, it's my turn in the rotation. Here we go with the 30-second recap of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Well, it was Boom Boom Bottas. I mean, he just stormed it to pole, absolutely grabbed it by the nuts and ripped them off. And then, I mean, it's not an easy win, but he pretty much controlled the race, I think that's fair to say. Really a muted attack from Ferrari. Leclerc was hung out to dry a little bit, pitting very late, and some bizarre incident with Ricciardo where he just forgot what direction he was meant to be driving in. Good performance from Gasly, though, coming from the pit lane to get into a good spot and then only retire. Yeah, not too unhappy with that.
Not too unhappy with that.
Yeah.
I'm not unhappy with that either. I think that's very good. I'm just happy that we get to spend a bunch of time talking about Valtteri Bottas because I'm falling in love with the new Bottas, the new BD Bottas. I like he got on the radio twice post race and was like, "Thanks, guys," and then again it was like, "Oh, guys, just so good though.
Just
this
again,
car, this whole thing again, great, thanks." Like,
as everybody predicted, after 4 races, he regains the lead ahead of everybody else. You know, that's just stock standard season, really. I guess again, it was a good race from him. I guess the story is what happened with Hamilton at the start. He was kind of saying after the race, yeah, man, I was just a bit too friendly and I really probably could have been a bit more of an asshole, which is interesting. And
yeah.
I mean, I guess I get the feeling that Hamilton in the first few races thought, I'll let Valtteri have his little win. That's fine. Because I'll beat him on any other day. And now that they're 4 races in and they're level and they're just leaving Ferrari completely in their dust, it's sort of becoming pretty obvious, like it's between you two and maybe you want to start putting a little bit of a gap on Bottas, or at least maybe the war of words has begun with Hamilton saying, yeah, maybe next time you're on the outside of the wall, you might find yourself against it, mate.
I think that that's really interesting from Hamilton because if he was genuinely kind of faster this weekend, I think he probably could have caught Valtteri, and I don't think we saw that. I think that Valtteri Bottas had an incredible, had a great 4 hours split between Saturday and Sunday where he looked almost unstoppable. Like his qualifying pole lap was awesome and he was just super calm. Insert joke here about Finns and having ice in their veins, yada, yada, yada. But can you imagine if Lewis Hamilton had caused a crash at Baku on the opening lap? Like that would have been so bad for his year and his season. He doesn't want to have that anymore as part of his personality or as part of his image in Formula One. And you can kind of say what he likes after the race, but I think he was probably also thinking this race isn't over in the first few corners. Why crash this early when I've got the entire race and I'll get that slipstream and the DRS if I just stay behind him? What he wasn't probably ready for is the fact that Bottas turned the tyres on incredibly quickly and was suddenly 2.5 seconds in front of Hamilton after 1.5 laps. So by the time the DRS was switched on, Hamilton was, too far back to really make a difference. So overall, I like this Valtteri Bottas quite a lot. This version 2.5, massive fan. Yeah,
me too. And postseason, when he's just came out and told everybody, I've just decided to come out this year and I'm going to beat everybody. And we were all just a bit like, yeah, righto, mate.
Cool.
But little did we know that he was really going to bring the noise. And I think, no more Mr. Nice Guy from him. It's not to say that I necessarily believe over the course of a season, Bottas will be better than Hamilton, but I just like that he's having a go. I like that he's really showing us what he's made of. I just wish he had done this 2 years ago, at least.
Yeah.
I think we've had 2 years of Hamilton just owning Bottas and absolutely hanging him out to dry. And maybe Bottas has just decided, look, what's the point of being here if I'm not going to fight? Where's the mongrel? So he's brought the mongrel, and in some ways this is starting to get a little bit reminiscent of the Rosberg-Hamilton duel. Obviously, there's no long, spiteful personal history between the two, but I think that if the rivalry continues and it stays close, then naturally there will just, incidents will just start to flare up. Things will happen, things will be said, something will happen in a race, and man, there will be some icy stairs across that garage. And it's just naturally going to get really spicy by itself. It doesn't need to go to the Rosberg-Hamilton levels of mind games and psychological torment. It's just, if it's close, it's naturally just going to get spicy. And personally, I say, bring it the fuck on.
Yeah, bring the spice on, mate. Bring me up. That's all I want.
I love the spice.
No, you're exactly right. Early in the season, it's easy to let things slide and not be that competitive between teammates for these two at the front, because they'd both be thinking like, oh, there's so many more races to go. Like, I'm going to catch up points everywhere. But then as the season moves on, if it's still neck and neck at the mid-season break, or by the time we get to Spa, it's going to be really game on for Lewis Hamilton. And we'll see I think we'll get a really good test of Valtteri's mettle by then. So yeah, it's interesting. But really, the concerned party should be Ferrari, right? They've been lucky enough to have a version 1.5 of Valtteri Bottas at Mercedes the last couple of seasons, so it's let Vettel kind of sneak in there and put his red cat amongst the silver pigeons. But now that they've got a really strong 1-2, again, 4 races in a row, 1-2, they don't look like stopping. And Mercedes in the past has had funny weekends where the car's not reliable or anything like that. There hasn't been a hint of that. Like, everything's just kind of working perfectly. So there's no evidence to suggest that it would change. And it doesn't seem like Ferrari have the pace that everybody was touting after after testing at the start of the year. We're all going to look back on that and just be like, that was incredibly wrong. Or we're going to say that Mercedes was hiding something, because it's all anyone could talk about during and after this race. That we keep saying that Ferrari is easily the fastest car in F1 right now, but the results would say otherwise.
Oh yeah. For me, those days are just gone. Ferrari are just nowhere at the moment. They're just not going to, it's just not going to happen. I know that, in Bahrain, they look pretty good, but that seems more like an outlier than the norm. And it's going to take a big developmental leap from Ferrari to reclaim that mantle as the fastest. But on top of that, they've got the strategy problems to deal with. So even if they have the fastest car every other week, they're going to do something with strategy that screws it up. So you may as well just give Mercedes the constructors trophy right now. Like, it's over. Like, it's just done.
Yeah. There was a lot of talk of how good Charles Leclerc was looking all weekend. He was top of the charts for practice. He looked incredibly good in qualifying until he binned it, and he was so angry at himself, which meant that he had to fight from 10th. Excuse me. Had to fight his way through 10th, and he made really good progress really early in the race. And then things kind of just leveled off. He was leading at a time where once pit stops had kind of happened. And we'll talk a little bit about the strategy around leaving him out. But what I did want to say, get your opinion on, is that there was a bit of chat that, this was Ferrari's race to lose. Charles Leclerc was obviously the fastest person over the weekend. But I don't think, even if he was in and amongst it, and even if he'd had pole, I don't think they were any faster than Mercedes. And even if he was in front, the pole sitter very rarely wins this race. In fact, this is the only time with Valtteri Bottas winning from pole that the pole sitter has ever won in Baku whilst we've been racing there in the modern Formula One. So I think the Mercedes would have just gobbled Charles up really early in the race, and that would have been that. So do you think that even if Ferrari were on pole, that they could have won this race?
Well, I'll say that Mercedes certainly looked racy, and it looked as though it wasn't too difficult to follow cars around that track. And with that long straight, it was really easy to just tap someone on the right shoulder, and while they're looking right, just slip past them on the left, and vice versa. So Yeah, I have every confidence. I think you're right. I have every confidence that if Mercedes were behind one or both of the Ferraris, they probably would have found a way through, honestly. Yeah, the thing with Leclerc, I don't know, it was exciting watching the race and seeing him eventually lead and thinking, oh man, I know he's got to stop later, but he could be setting himself up for a podium or something here. But I think with hindsight, it was a bit of a false promise, and he was never really going to do that well. And everyone was sort of talking about when is he going to come in? This is some strategy from Ferrari. Really, their strategy call was, let's just try and get the tyres to last until the end. We saw at the start how the softs just went nowhere. They just died. And they said that they were worried about his late safety car and his ability to light up the softs again. So really, they were in survival mode, even though they were leading the race at that point. They were just sort of thinking, we might be in trouble here. And they kind of knew earlier than everybody else. So, yeah, it's a bit of an anticlimax for me because I was getting excited for a good result for him, and it turned out to be pretty average.
Yeah, I had thought at a moment that maybe they were going to use Leclerc to back the Mercedes into Vettel, but they got up behind him and overtook him like the second time on the straight. And Vettel wasn't even closing in on the Mercedes, which is why I kind of have this problem with the idea that even if Leclerc was winning at the start, it was on pole, that he would have won. So, not a great showing from Ferrari. That being said though, it's not like Max Verstappen was showing any more that Red Bull could be sort of in the mix as well, with Mercedes 1 and Ferrari 2. Do you get a slightly better read on Red Bull, especially with Pierre Gasly showing that he's got some vim and some vigor as well?
Seems like Honda brought an upgrade. Honda brought an upgrade to this race, and they still just seem on the straight to be 10, 15 Ks down from where they need to be, and I just don't. They just have so much of a gap to make up that, they have to make such a big step, and they're already 2 steps behind everybody else. I'm hoping that at some races, they might be a little bit more sporty and racy. I think obviously they'll be looking forward to Monaco very much. Very much.
Pierre
Especially
Gasly
Pierre Gasly.
At Monaco. I'm calling it now. Pierre Gasly's going to win at Monaco.
Well, I would put this out there. Leclerc won driver of the day. I think Gasly might have even been better.
Yeah, well, they had a nice little battle at some point as well. Gasly was shutting the door on him a little bit. It was, they're old mates, and it was nice to see those two fighting again and against each other, and seeing Pierre Gasly kind of just. I've been quite harsh on him for these first few races.
Oh, me too.
Rightly so, I would say, because he can't hear us and we can't hear him, so it's fine. It was nice to see him put in a good performance. He looked good in qualifying. Like he topped Q1. He set an incredibly quick lap. So he knows his way around there. And I think that's one of the advantages, not advantages, but one of the other things that the Formula 2 or GP2 and GP3 guys have had is they've been racing there as well. And they know it's quite tight-knit, and they do reverse grids, and they do all these kind of funny things in the lower order, so they actually get a lot of experience around Baku and navigating. It didn't help Charles Leclerc during qualifying, but I think maybe coming into more of the European races where someone like Pierre Gasly's probably got quite a lot of experience through racing in all of those lower categories, we'll start to see something better from him, which would be great. I just want to see Red Bull putting some kind of sideways pressure on Ferrari and Mercedes, even if it is just with contra pit stops and contra strategies and weird things with tires where they're just doing stuff that upset the rhythm, which is when I think Red Bull's at its best. Christian Horner even said it on the radio when they were in Sky was interviewing him mid-race, that they're like, we like to do stuff that is a little bit different from the other teams, a little bit try to do something different to upset
a little bit
what's going
a
on.
bit way, they're a geezer. Good on them. They can have a go. I guess when you're not winning, you may as well, fuck up the formula a little bit and see what happens.
Speaking of doing things weirdly and incorrectly, though, ex-Red Bull driver, Daniel Ricciardo.
This one. What was going on there?
He made Daniil Kvyat look great. Lit up his... just got his braking all wrong, and then Daniil Kvyat saw him and went, I'm not going to turn left, but that means you've broken the corner for both of us. Cheers, mate. And then Daniel Ricciardo just gets the car in reverse and goes, I can probably clear that. Just like someone backing a trailer into their own fence. They used
to be teammates, if you remember. for a couple of races.
God, that is such a weird blip to remember that they were teammates.
It really makes Grosjean crashing into the wall behind the safety car by himself, completely unprovoked, maybe look okay, you know?
Yeah, and I think that, was it Romain Grosjean who went off there during the race and, like, did the perfect, like, spin round as well?
Yeah,
it's such a tight little space. He went in there and he was like, fuck it, turn it around, and it was perfect. Like,
it's impressive. It's almost worth going off there just to get that, because, you know, someone on Reddit is making a cool gif of that. Ricciardo, man, an interesting one, especially because he had 2 awful races and had one good one last time, and you just sort of think, that's it. You know, the drought has broken, and a drought of 2 races. Drought's broken, and Renault are on the way back. Hülkenberg this week too, absolutely nowhere. Ricciardo was making him look silly. So you got one car causing perhaps the stupidest F1 incident we've seen in years, and the other car like running in 17th or something. Like, I just don't get it.
It's Daniel and Hülkenberg, I think, made up some places. Well, Daniel definitely did at the start. And then everybody else around him just started, as soon as they got some of that toe and some speed on that long last sector, they were just getting swallowed up. Like, he just couldn't compete at all, no matter how good of a driver you are. And you know we love Nico Hülkenberg. Neither of them really had anything. And it's like that whole Renault setup was just wrong. And funnily enough, you could kind of say that, you know, similarly at Haas, it didn't look very good either. They just didn't really know what they were doing. And it felt like, to me, I've got this funny feeling that, like, I wonder if Renault and Haas are just really looking at each other as key rivals. And maybe they should.
And meanwhile,
genuine,
four other teams are passing them.
Yeah, McLaren and Racing Point are like, oh, well, then I guess we'll just take from 6th down. Like, if you don't want it, then we'll...
Sorry, I'm so bored.
Just have all those
this
points.
Race sucked.
Yeah, I know.
So
I'm sorry.
This
I
race
wish
was
I could have
worse
done
than
more
last
for
week.
you. I know, but now we're coming to Europe soon, and it's all going to be the real season starts.
What must Christian Horner be thinking when he sees Daniel struggling, Renault generally just falling over themselves? Like, he must just be, like, giggling, you know?
Yeah.
He must just lie in bed with just a huge grin on his face while he sleeps with his little nightcap on and everything.
I'm just so happy that the Honda engines are actually working. Like, what a bet to pay off.
What even is this season, you know?
Well, I had always thought this season was going to be the kind of the season that people would forget, because we'll get our new formula, we'll get new regulations, we'll get all this stuff that changes in 2020, hopefully. And this is kind of the odd season where there wouldn't be that many stories, and that maybe it would just be Hamilton and Vettel. And it turns out it's Hamilton and Bottas absolutely smashing it, and nobody else really doing much. And really, the stories to look are further down the page, right? They're further down in that McLaren's performing well, that Lance Stroll isn't doing a bad job at Racing Point, and that maybe he's a good driver, and him and Perez are a great partnership. So, and that Lando Norris is really fun and great in interviews and quite knowledgeable. There was a great, I think it was post-qualifying or post-race, I can't remember what it was, but Lando Norris, I think it was post-race. Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz Jr., Simon Lazenby, and somebody else on the Sky, just walking through the paddock, all 4 of them, all with microphones. Yeah, just chatting. And like they were really good. They seemed really happy. They were really insightful. It's that kind of stuff that, you know, maybe McLaren's last few seasons have just been like, maybe something was just genuinely wrong, Fernando Alonso, and that it just needed a big change up, and that these 2 new guys who are really, really excited about being at McLaren and really want to deliver on behalf of the team, and the team is kind of responding to that and wants to bring back their own glory, I think it's working really well.
Yeah, and there was an interesting move at McLaren too, where they were running in 7th and 8th, which is where they finished, but towards the end, Norris was ahead and Sainz was behind, so they decided to pit Norris, because their thinking was, as a team, we're going to protect that position and we're still going to score the same amount of points, just worried that Norris's tyres might actually fall off. And then, if there's a late safety car, he'll have fresh tyres. Everyone else that pits, even though there's a mitigated influence if you actually pit behind a safety car, there's still some influence. But, you know, Norris will be on those tyres and they'll be worn in, primed, ready to go if there's a safety car. It didn't work out, but I mean, both drivers were just thrilled. And it's like, I mean, I think McLaren, 4th in the constructors. McLaren, 4th.
McLaren.
4th,
not the team that
14th.
Couldn't make a car go last year.
Exactly. The team that, like, Fernando Alonso basically had to push his car around during qualifying, all of a sudden, they're the best of the rest.
It's so interesting. And it's enjoyable to watch those, papaya-coloured cars driving around Baku. It was fun. It was cool.
I could do without the blocky kind of blue and papaya. I could do without that. But yeah, other than that, really glad to see just the driver, more for the drivers, because when they went there, it's like, oh, sorry, you didn't realise, but when you signed that contract, they're one of the worst teams. But luckily for them, they've come really good. I was getting depressed, but you reminded me of Bottas, and I got happy again. So is there anything else to talk about from the race, Zach? I feel like, what else is there to talk about?
I don't know. I mean, I want to do a quick check-in on Williams, just as always. 2 laps down, nothing. Robert Kubica, I think this might be it. I don't think they're going to keep... I think... And I called it very early when people were like, get Robert Kubica back in. And I'm like, that's not going to go so well. And it's not going that well. It's not just that the car sucks. It's that it sucks in lots of different ways that makes it difficult for someone who's coming back to Formula One and is, an old racing driver. It's not a good setup for Robert Kubica. And I think it would just be a thing. This period will just become one of those, tidbits that come up in Formula One quizzes that Zach or you write in 10 years. It's like, what season did Robert Kubica have a small comeback in, in the late teens and late 2010s? It's sad. And I don't know what Williams can do.
Did you see that they made a loss of €96 million last year? No, £96 million. £96 million
so many.
Lost. That's more than I've got on me. Like, that's
quite a lot. Well, because this is doing when they were doing really well, they were getting all this great press, and they were like Williams engineering, Williams technology was being used to by bike teams and used in all these other ways. But maybe that was all just taking away focus from Formula One racing or racing generally, and now they're getting all this. Now Formula One is the negative press for them. That's not why you get in Formula One. You want Formula One for positive press. Kind of,
yeah. They're like, the salesmen are being like, hey, the technology that goes into this is the same that we put into our F1 cars. And they're like, oh, do you have any others? Is there something else that we...
Got anything Racing Point branded?
You got anything that works? Oh, man, it's harsh, but I don't care. Yeah, man, I'm done with this race. Can we just lock her up?
Yeah, let's move on. Do you want to do something fun instead?
Let's get into the Super Quiz.
We will accept a couple of questions. Should one only win one? Would one want to have won that one in round one?
Can you repeat the question?
Utterly profesh, Zach. It's time for a Super Quiz. Cheer me up with a Super Quiz, my friend.
All right, Rod. In celebration of our recent drift episode where we looked at and driven to Sevivin, I am doing the Formula One in film and television quiz.
Fantastic.
Now, I've got 5 questions for you, plus a bonus question. I like to lob one in at the end there, which, of course, is not a factual answer, but I'm just testing our alignment as people. So, I'm going to do these 5 questions, then we're going to throw to the last question, which is generally how chronological quizzes work. Rod, are you ready for the F1 in film and television quiz?
I'm glad that you've created your own rules for a quiz. I always like that. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. I don't know where that came
from. Off the rails from the start. Oh, boy, this is going to be fun.
You feel much better already. Here we go. Which team and driver feature in the video clip for David Guetta's 2014 hit, Dangerous?
Which team and driver? Is it Hamilton from Mercedes?
No, it is not. This team is not in Formula One anymore, but the driver definitely is. And might I say, he's a man who's always got cool sunglasses. Or at least interesting sunglasses.
Look, I don't know. I'm just going to say Sergio Perez.
No, it is Lotus and Romain Grosjean. And if you want to see the most awkward video clip appearance by someone, Romain Grosjean on the podium with Dave Guetta popping champagne, both in full Lotus gear, popping the champagne with like dancers around him. Roman Grosjean looks like he's just been like a man off the street asked to do this, and he's like, "What do I need to do?" Like all in slow motion. It's terrific. So
If
go
Roman
and search
Grosjean
someone
wants to do things, he should be forced to have the hair from that old Clear ad.
Oh yeah. Oh, I miss. Why did we go to these short hairstyles? I want long hair back in all fashion, especially in Formula One. So no, it was Lotus, Romain Grosjean. Are you ready for question 2?
Oh, that's a shame. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. At which F1 racetrack does Tony Stark, also known as Iron Man, fight Whiplash in the movie Iron Man 2?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's in America, so I'm going to say Circuit of the Americas.
No, it's not
Indianapolis.
the Americas. No, Rod. I mean, look, this is the interesting thing, right? Like, it's the only F1 track that people probably outside of America would know. Think Tony Stark, think glitz and glamour. Like he's
Monaco.
Yes, it's Monaco.
Whew. Whew.
I'm gonna get at least a
Saw
quarter
it
of
a
a point
long
for that
time
one.
ago on a plane while I was
Really?
getting
You
to...
watched Iron Man too?
Well, Morty, wait, I like Iron Man.
What? Really?
Yeah. Saw it on a plane on the way, I think, to America or on the way back. Very, very tired. All I remember is the old guy, the guy with the weird face. He just keeps talking about how he wants his bird, and they give him his bird, and nothing happens. And I was like, well, that was nothing. I thought that was going to be a story point or something, but it wasn't.
And that's
Stupid
it. No,
movie.
that was nothing. That's our only nod to the Avengers Endgame.
There you go.
So I don't think that's a spoiler telling you that in Iron Man 2, Tony Stark fights Whiplash at Monaco. So yeah. Question 3, Rod. A film we went and saw together and shared. Who starred alongside Chris Hemsworth playing legendary F1 driver Niki Lauda in the 2013 film Rush? What's the actor?
I can see his face. I can see, like, he's sort of got that kind of Niki Lauda looking kind of face, you know?
Yeah, he's a good actor. Looks like the people who he plays.
So good. Such a good movie. What's his name though? That's the tricky thing.
Whenever I look at his name, it reminds me of Dave Grohl, but I think it's not that, obviously. I think it's because it's got an umlaut in it.
Is something like Brule though?
Yes,
Brule?
that's the surname. Yep, Brule. You've got Brule half a point.
Dave Brule, or is it someone else?
No.
Is it Daniel Brule?
That's Daniel Brule.
Daniel Brule, I got that one. That counts. Give me a freaking ding.
Got that one. You know what, Rod? That is the one that counts. You're right. I pick in every quiz. I pick one that counts. I've been keeping track all this time.
That counts for
and
5.
That's the one. Yeah, and by guessing which one that counts, you get a few more points.
I had such a bad day, and I feel so good right now. This is great.
Oh, that's good. Well, why don't you let me stumble over this director's name? Asif Kapadia directed the brilliant documentary Senna, which won, among other awards, the Audience Award for Best Documentary at the Adelaide Film Festival. What was his next film called? And this film went on to win the Academy Award and BAFTA for Best Documentary. What was his next film? Director Asif Kapadia.
Yeah, isn't it Amy? About Amy Winehouse?
It is. It's Amy. About Amy Winehouse. Yeah,
Boom.
there you go. That
There
one
you
was
go.
not the
Don't
one
tell me
I
I don't know
counted.
F1. No, they're both
right,
really good. You should watch them.
I haven't seen the Amy Winehouse one. It's
really
now
good.
on my list. Okay. Rod, this is to do with Drive to Survive, so you've watched the whole series twice, so I'm guessing you'll get this.
Got a fighting chance.
Yeah, there's every chance, right? Who is the only driver credited as a cast member in the IMDb entry for Formula One Drive to Survive?
Makes no sense that there would only be one.
So the thing about IMDb is they don't. If it's a documentary about real life, you're not actors, so you don't get credits on IMDb in that same way. But for some reason, one driver is credited on the IMDb Drive to Survive. Now, this might change in the future. Maybe more people will go and update it. But when I went and looked, when I read this quiz, one driver credited.
So this is, when you say credited, this is an important distinction. You mean credited as himself?
Yes, when you go to the cast list, there is one driver there.
Trying to think of a driver who might already have an IMDb listing that he can just slip in as an extra credit. Oh yeah, I was in Drive to Survive as well.
This is an ultimate 1 in 20. If you need some clues, I could probably think of some clues.
I mean, there is one driver that comes to mind who has had some cameos in some movies, Mr. LH.
Ooh.
So I'm wondering whether it's him. I'll have a punt on that. No,
not bad though.
He must have an IMDb listing though.
He might. Yeah. I was as surprised as you when I opened this up. I was just like, I don't understand. And I even went looking for more buttons to press. I was like, is there more view full cast?
Yeah, where's the expand to the full cast? No.
Yeah, did that. Look, and I read through every single produced full crew list as well. But yeah, he's the only driver. I will give you a hint, Rod. His dad's a pretty good driver too.
I mean, there's a few contenders then. Oh, it definitely narrows it down, no question. I mean, having said that, I respect all the F1 dads as drivers. I respect them on the road.
Oh, yeah, true.
Look, hey, we don't discriminate. They're all great. So that means I still have to have a punt, though. I'm going to have a go at Max Verstappen and say it's Max Verstappen.
No, it's Carlos Sainz Jr.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know why.
You know what happened there though is that his manager cousin sorted that out.
Yes, he did. He was like, if we're going to mention one person on IMDb, it's going to be.
And then he selected to him, baby, and he said, "Hey, Carlos, see, baby, check out this IMDb listing. Pretty good." Earning
Maybe
my
there was some
manager
confusion
pay cut.
When he took over as his manager / agent, and he just thought that that's all managers and agents did is they got their people into film and TV.
Yeah,
so it was
like, about their age on IMDb.
It's like, I wanted to be a Formula One driver though. It's like, oh wait, you need a manager for that? Right.
Synergy, baby. Synergy.
You can still do it if you want. So they're all the regular questions. I have one bonus question for you. This is the one. You can get 100 points for this one and beat all the other people competing in this quiz around the world. Rod, if we're going to make one new single Formula One documentary or one TV series about one person involved in Formula One right now, who would we make it about?
Oh, it has to be someone right now. Can't I just say Juan Pablo Montoya?
Well, actually, I'd watch that, though. You get half the points. There's 50
I thought
points
you were
for
sending me
Juan Pablo
subliminal vibes with the references to one all the time.
That's pretty good. I should have. Oh, that's pretty good. No,
that's
it's
okay.
one person who
but it doesn't matter.
we both really liked from Drive to Survive.
Has to be Gunther Steiner.
It's Gunther Steiner. Well done. We are so aligned.
You know what I reckon?
What are you ranking?
Cooking show. I reckon he replaces that French judge on Nailed It. So the Nicole buyer, and then he replaces the French guy, who I like, but Gunther Steiner would be better.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweatastic. I like it.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
Well, imagine.
Yeah, I'm in for that.
She'd be like, nailed it! And he'd be like, yeah, you fucking nailed it, it's shit. Etc.
I can't get that. Yeah, if anybody wants to edit him in to some footage of Nailed It, then go for it.
Thank you, Zach. That was a fantastic quiz. It's time to get into a bit of fantasy focus. So let's look at the Fantasy League and see how we're going. Noticing you're still ahead of me, so I'm not very happy about that. Notice, though, that I went up one place in the league and you went up one place in the league. So this is quite the rivalry that we've got going.
I thought I had a really good week. I thought I picked all these right things. Turns out I had a fair to middling week. Like the best
up is better than down, baby.
Yes, up is better than down. I'm interested to hear from the people. Somebody here in our league has elite. Or two people have elite. A few people have elite and pro. I don't know what elite is. Is there another stage above pro?
I guess so. It's one better.
Jeez. Do they come around and ask you in person for your pit predictions and picks? Like, do they write them down in front of you?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're allowed to call Valtteri Bottas and ask him how well he's going to do. And he just tells you whether he's going to beat everybody that week or not. You can put it in your team or not. I think it has something to do with live results, as in as the race is progressing, you get a live update of how your points are going, something like that. There's all kinds of, it's all fancy stuff. You wouldn't understand.
Nice. Well, nice. Congratulations to Hawk Moon Racing, still at the top there.
Yep, Lincoln the Naughty Dog in number 2.
It's the battles emerging between Lincoln the Naughty Dog and Lars Master of Death.
My favourite, though, in P4 still, trains. Always yell it. I don't know why. You just do.
Trains. Yeah, it doesn't even have an exclamation mark, but it's all caps, so it's trains.
I'm chasing you down, Zach. I've just decided I'm just going to beat you.
Okay. Well, game on then. I'm going to pay even more attention than I do to Formula One and I'm going to swap my team around a bit more. But you won't be able to catch me because I'm going to stop betting on Charles Leclerc to win races.
Well, that's good. I hope that you do. I put Charles Leclerc in my team for this week, and I'm glad I got rid of Renault because they were a dog of a team, and that was a good move, and I was feeling really good. And then I saw my results, and I went, oh, but why did I replace them with Toro Rosso? That was stupid.
It's because you're such a big Albon fan. I know you to be the truest Albon fan.
Yeah. I wonder what happens if you pick Ricciardo and then he reverses into someone. Are you allowed to just be like, come on, man. Like, honestly, come on. And they just give you points out of pity? Yeah. Mulligan.
I think so. Yeah. I think maybe they should just start reversing his... Because he went reverse. He gets reverse points. So the worse he does, the more points he gets.
Reverts back into Red Bull and then actually does well. Best recap of the Fantasy League ever. Let's move on to the last segment of the show, just our final thoughts, Zach. So, I don't know if you've got anything in your pocket. What was your final thought for this week?
Final thought was I prefer when they're not great races that there's, it's tight. So there's still a chance that anybody could make a mistake at any moment. So that's good. It's the boring runs where they're also at a boring track really suck. But this is still with the castle. Still hasn't worn off. That last bit where they drive incredibly quickly is still really good. I don't get sick of that shot of somebody catching up with somebody over 15 seconds, but getting closer and closer and closer and closer and closer in that final sector. I think that's great. So that's my final thought.
Very good. Very good. I like it. My final thought for this week is if you happen to have a paddock pass, don't forget to keep it to yourself and not give it away like poor old Nico Rosberg did. Hear about this? Nico Rosberg filming something in the paddock, decides to give his paddock pass to his cameraman to use. No, Nico. And they both got banned for 2 races.
Two races?
He won't be returning until Monaco, where he will be able to walk around in his shiny jacket, his tight jeans, and his slightly oversized head. But hey, he's a former world champion. He can have whatever size head he wants.
I love when sports do this, when they're like, if you won the thing, you can keep coming back forever. We'll give you a special thing. Did you know that the Masters, the US Masters, the golf tournament,
I've heard of it.
Where they get the green jacket at the end, right? Mm-hmm. Now, you win that. The year you win it, you can wear your green jacket for a year. Mm-hmm. And then the only times you're allowed to wear it is when you're at the course.
Yeah.
It goes into the cupboard. And then you can only wear it if you're at the course, you're allowed to wear it. And, though, you get invited to play in the Masters for the rest of your life. So you don't have to be any good at golf anymore, but you can still play whenever you want at the Masters, which is really cool.
It's pretty exclusive, eh?
Yeah, right? So exclusive.
I have to say, though, when you say the green coat hangs in the cupboard, do you mean their cupboard or your cupboard?
No, their cupboard. It lives at the golf course.
It'd have to be, because if it was mine and someone was like, "Now, Rod, don't you wear this green jacket?" I'd be like, okay.
I'm going to wear it while I watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine on Saturday morning.
Down the pub. Straight down the pub. And it'd be all over Instagram, and they would have to come down and tear it off me.
Can I wear it on St. Paddy's Day, though? That would be good.
Now, Rod, here's a beer, but don't you drink it. Be all right.
Okay, that was silly. I haven't got anything else. Let's call it.
Best show ever. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next race in Spain. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. We're at SuperLicense. Don't forget to join the SuperLicense group. SuperLicense Universe. Search for the Facebook group. Join it up and come and talk to us about stuff. Seriously. If you're in the SuperLicense Club, you'll get an email from me in a couple of days about our recap of Drift, covering the Netflix series Drive to Survive. No kidding. Really good. I listened to it again today.
Worth joining just for that.
It's
just join the club to hear that episode.
We are smart. It's nothing like this. It's actually good. So if you haven't joined up before, you've got that to look forward to. You've got nothing to do this weekend. Join the Super License Club, watch that show, and then listen to what we thought about it. Can't recommend it enough. There's a good plug from me. It's something that I made. So, hey, I can do what I want. It's my show. Zach, anything else to say before we wrap it up?
No, that's it.
Well, let's do exactly that thing then. Until next time, my name's been Rodney.
My name's been Zach.
Talk to you after the Spanish Grand Prix. See you later.
Bye.
Oh, yeah.
that you added kind of like your own reverb.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes I don't try, but this time I just felt like trying.
Yeah, threw the kitchen sink at it. Lovely.
Mm-hmm.